You are now watching But First Coffee. Jordan Benston is a creative director and CEO of Oracle Media. Oracle Media is a Black woman-owned full-service production company that creates posh and custom curated digital, linear, and editorial content. Welcome back. We have another virtual episode of But First Coffee. Of course, I'm your host, Coffee Iman, and this is the lovely Jordan Benston. She is joining us today, another creator, another director, another visual person. So I am so lucky to have her with me today so she can kind of join in and let us know about the troubles that we are having as creators in 2023. I want to dive right in because you have so much going on. Talk about this new project that you're doing, because this was overwhelmingly surprisingly to me.
Are you talking about the DJ Drama project?
Yes.
Okay. So in the last couple of years, I started producing a show for Revolt called Drip Report. Through that show, I met Jim Jones, who's the host of the show. Okay. So him and I, me being his producer, him being the host, like we work very closely every week for the episodes, and that has like butted into a friendship and business partnership like outside of that show. Okay. So he had some other projects that he was working on, and in true Jim fashion, it all of a sudden switched to, oh, by the way, I want to recreate, like DJ Drama called me. He wants me to help him recreate some scenes from the movie Juice for his new album. And I'm like, you want to do what? Who, what, huh? So the ask itself isn't crazy. The constraints that we had were. So the budget was a little limited. It was like, oh, we want to do 4 or 5 scenes in one day. So, we kind of heard about it. We did some scouting. We walked around and, figured out kind of where we wanted to be at, what we thought could happen. And then Grammy weekend, that Sunday, DJ Drama runs into Queen Latifah at the Grammys. So he runs into Queen Latifah at the Grammys. He's like, I'm trying to recreate these scenes. I want you to be able to do it. I get a call that Sunday night to say Wednesday we're shooting with Queen Latifah.
Wow.
And I was like,
were you excited or were you stressed?
My answer was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
What you mean Wednesday? Like, so I was stressed, and I mean, I was excited, but I was just like, this is a lot to try to figure out in 48 hours of like putting the crew together. And it wasn't a small crew. Like we had jibs, we had multiple camera operators, we had set designers, we had PAs, we had grip, we got gaffers, we have audience casting, and like a lot of things to pull together very, very quickly. I mean, we did it, which I guess that's what matters.
Yeah.
But it was a huge, but really fun and like iconic undertaking, because I would have never guessed that like we would have got Queen Latifah, Omar Epps, Jermaine, Khalil, like the original Juice crew, to be able to do this. Like it was literally epic.
So does this happen to you often, I would say?
Probably more often than it should. A lot of times clients will come and say, oh, I want to do this project, or I want to do this. And, sometimes I can be fortunate and have a couple of weeks to put it together. Or sometimes I can get a call on the Friday and like, I want to do this on Monday. And I'm just like, huh? But they call me because they know no matter whether they give me 48 hours or 4 to 8 weeks, it's still going to get done.
Now, is this what excites you about this particular industry, or like what draws you to stay in it?
The pace of it. So I guess that I would say that is what excites me about this industry. We get to do a lot of cool things. And I was a pre-law major in college. So before I got my internship at BET, I did not know this world existed. Like you watch stuff on TV, you see your favorite shows or you see your favorite movie, but until you get into production, you're not thinking about logically all of the steps and all of the things and all of the pieces and all of the people that it takes to put it together. Right. So to be able to like be the mastermind behind,
The puppeteer.
yeah, behind putting these things together. It is exciting. Like you're literally, it's like an adrenaline rush when you're on set and we're working 16-hour days. Like the last thing that we did, I think our call time was like 10 o'clock in the morning and we wrapped at 3 or 4 a.m. Like
Okay.
that's how long the day was. But you're up, like you never lose energy, you never lose steam. I did start to lose steam at like 1 a.m. And my answer to that was tequila. I was like, somebody got to find me some.
Find her tequila.
Get me a bottle if y'all want me to stay up. So literally, there's
Right.
like pictures of me walking around with a bottle of tequila under my arm. Like, would you like a shot? Because we're here for another couple hours. What do we? I gotta stay up.
Now, how do you manage to balance it all? I always say I love having those stretch of days where you completely do what you love, but then you have reality, you have the other side of your life that's still going on during that time. So how do you say, hey, I can give 6 hours, but that 8 hour stretch, I'm not sure.
My husband. My husband allows me to. I can say yes to the 18-hour days and not stress about if I'm going to miss anything with my kids or if I'm going to miss anything at my house. And we both know that I might have 2 weeks of 18-hour days, and then I can have 4 weeks of I'm completely working from home. Right. So
Right.
because we have those stretches, they kind of balance each other out. And because we'll both go into it knowing, all right, let's sit down, let's look at the calendar. These next 2 weeks are crazy. Here's what's happening. I'm in LA for this. I'm in New York for this. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And we go through and figure it out and knowing that it always is, it's an up and down. It's an up and down. It always
Right.
comes down. And then those down moments, it's like, all right, let's take a break. Let's take a breather. You get out of the house and let me, make sure everything are good with the kids. But that's kind of the balance for me, is that it's not 365. It's not always like this. I don't have to do it every single day all the time, and that it comes in like blocks or seasons.
I get that. So what made you said you started off in law? So what was how did that transpire? Where did that click and say, hey, this is what I need to do?
The funny thing is that I went to North Carolina A&T, and I originally, like, high school, whatever, like I thought I was going to be a lawyer. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I'm going to argue you down. I love the facts. So factually, we're going to go back and forth until I've won, right? We're going to keep going, and I'm not going to get upset. My demeanor isn't going to change. You're not going to, like, we're just going to still keep talking about it. So I went in to go to the goal was to go to law school. And right before my freshman year, the summer before my freshman year, something was like, you know what? I think I want to change my major to JOMC. I want to be a mass communications girl. I didn't know what that future looked like, but I'm like, maybe I want to change my major. So, shout out to the HBCUs and the Black schools, because they be doing their own little, they be having their own worlds going on, right?
Right.
So I'm sending letters to people. I'm like, oh, I want to change my major. I know I got accepted as pre-law, but I want to change to JOMC, blah, 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 blah. So I send the communications. Some way, somehow, I got some type of communications back that when it came time for me to apply for my classes, my first semester of freshman year, I applied for classes as a JOMC major. So my first freshman year, I'm taking like English, I'm taking writing, like I'm taking all the JOMC classes. And then I get a call going into my second semester of the freshman year when it's time to reapply from classes from my academic advisor, Karen Hornsby. So Karen, she calls me and she's like, hey, it's time to register for your classes. And I'm like, you aren't my advisor. And she's like, no, you are registered as a pre-law student. I have your name. I am your advisor. These are the classes that you need to be taking. And I was like, what? And at that point, I'm like, I mean, what am I really going to do? Like, I thought I changed it. I didn't change it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to see it through. It was the best decision. Karen Hornsby now is like, I love her to death. Like, we grew to love each other from freshman to my senior year. I think the sky about to fall out outside. So from freshman to my senior year, we grew to love each other. But my sophomore year in college, I had a cousin that was working at BET that called and said, if you could come to New York for a summer internship, would you come? And I'm like,
yes.
what? Bags were packed. Like, I'm on the phone packing. Like, what you mean? Yes, I'm coming. So, I filled out the application. I did what I needed to do. A few weeks, I was on the way to New York for my summer internship at BET. So that was summer 2010. So June, July, August. I interned. I learned about this whole new world that I didn't know existed.
And you got hooked, huh?
Yeah, I got hooked. I got bit. I got the bug, and I was like, ooh, I want to do this. However, I was on a 4-year track, baby. If I say I'm going to college for 4 years, ain't no switching of the major going into junior year because that means I might have to do more time. 4 years was all I had at me. So I was like,
Did your parents know my parents?
listen, I'm like, we gonna see this through. I'm gonna go ahead and do this 4 years.
Right.
And I'm up out. Now there was some disappointment when it was like, oh, you graduated as a pre-law major. My major is pre-law, my minor is philosophy.
Okay.
So they're like, you graduated and now you're supposed to be going to law school. And baby, I was sassy. Like, are y'all paying for me to go to law school? Because it's just going to be more debt. Okay. Do you know how much? Do you know how much law school costs? And I'm like, it costs this much per semester. I will not be able to have a full-time job according to anybody that I've already spoken to that goes to law school, because it's virtually impossible to do all of the work that you're doing and work. I'm going to amass a debt, and that's going to be in my name. You guys aren't going to be paying for it. So no, thank you. I'm moving to New York. And that was all she wrote. So I literally booked a flight, came to New York. I have family in New York. So I came to New York, stayed with my aunt and uncle until I was able to have enough of a job that I could afford my own little apartment in Brooklyn. Jesus Christ. That was a, little box of an apartment. But, that's all she wrote. And from there, I use my connections, use my contacts, just always make sure that I was leaving an impression and leaving a mark on people so that it would be easy for me to reach out when I needed to, if I was looking for work or trying to find work, and just kind of matriculate it, through the world of media.
Now, networking is usually mentioned that you need to do, but never to me really taught how to do it. So how did you get the confidence to just say, okay, I know I can use my connections once I get here to kind of navigate?
Here's the thing about networking. I feel like people are more apt to speak up for you or recommend you or try to guide you if they feel like they know you, right? So I think a lot of times we solely think of networking as being transactional, where it's like, I only want to talk to this person about work because I know they can get me to X, Y, and Z.
Got it. Okay.
A lot of the people that I was reaching out to, outside of me talking to them about work, we would talk about life. Right. So it felt like we knew each other. So it wasn't like, okay, well, let me just randomly send this girl's resume because she keeps emailing me, because she keeps working out, or because she keeps, reaching out. Networking, you just got to be intentional, because the goal of networking is that it expands your network to be able to open different opportunities for you. But people got to know you, right? So it's not enough to just send an email to say, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm this person. This is what I want to do. And expect somebody to be like, yup. Now, I will say, in my case, when I got my permanent, my full-time job at BET after college, I was emailing people that I interned with, and I kept up with them throughout the year. Now, you can keep up with somebody without, and this is going to sound weird, without knowing what they're doing, right? So I would send emails and I would say, hey, Merry Christmas. I hope you and your family are well. And I would catch them up on what I've been doing. I've recently worked on this project. I've been doing this or that, since we last spoke, blah, 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 to make sure that they knew things that were happening in my life. And just because you don't get a response don't mean it ain't read. We know we be reading stuff and it's like, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. And eventually you get to it. I would just send, hey, Merry Christmas update emails, or Happy Thanksgiving, or Happy Kwanzaa, or, whatever little random holiday. I would just randomly send emails just as update emails, not like, hey, can you pass along, or hey, I need a job, but just, hey, here's what I have going on. One of those emails landed my email in the lap of someone who is now like one of my best friends, one of my like, a colleague that I work with all the time named Danielle Howell, who also went to A&T.
Look at you with the A&T.
Listen, so I literally, somebody was like, oh, you know what? You should send it. They like, and this was somebody that had been emailing, and they hadn't really like, they would respond every now and again, but they sent this email, say, you know what?
Yeah.
You should email Danielle Howell, send her your resume, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't know why they're telling me to email Danielle. I sent her my resume, and Danielle says, oh, you're an Aggie? Say less. I'll be calling you to come PA for something. Like, I'll be calling you in a couple of weeks. I have this PA position that I need filled. And literally from then was like calling me in to like randomly fill in and do stuff that like led to me ultimately taking her full-time position when she left BET to go elsewhere.
Okay.
And I stepped in and took her position.
Now, what do you recommend? A lot of people usually don't take that route. They do the route where you say networking. I met this person like at a gathering.
Mm-hmm.
I know their name. Let me continue just to reach out to them for work. Given the highlights that you've given, most people may not be, I guess, that personable.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they start from scratch? Because you come out of school, to me, school is not like you know what you're doing.
No.
So you have to have jobs just like in a regular corporate world. You have to start somewhere. So how do they start from scratch?
I honestly think that answer changes by what's available in the world. If you would have asked me this question like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I probably would have given you a different answer than what I'm going to give today. My today answer is social media. My today answer is LinkedIn. My today answer is find people that work at the companies that you want to work at, that have the titles that you want to have. Add them to your LinkedIn network. Send them a message and say, hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. I, noticed that you do things that I want to do. Would love to set up a meeting. Can we have lunch? Can we hop on a Zoom? Just want to, learn more. And listen, people love to talk about themselves, okay? I want to learn more about what you do, how you got hooked, bait, okay? Because they're going, I did, like that's how it starts, right? So to be able to hook people in to say, I want to learn more about the path that you got to get, to get to where you are, because that's where I want to be. Those cold emails, those cold DMs, those cold calls, those cold messages get warm responses.
Okay. Now, have you started getting those with the success you gained over the years? And you come around and say, hey, I used to do this.
Yeah, I'm always shocked. I'm always shocked when people are like, oh my gosh, I see the work that you do is so great. Like I get so many emails of, can I intern for you? Can I be a PA? Do you need an assistant? Can I I'm going to take the call. We're going to have the call. We're going to, have the talk, and I'm going to figure out if it's somebody else that I could connect you with, or, figure out things down the line. There was a girl that emailed me. I think her name is Essence. Essence emailed me in 2019.
Okay.
And I guess she we were doing something with Oracle Media, and she found out something about it. She was like, I love your company. I love what you're doing. And mind you, this was like the beginning of Oracle Media, where I was like, girl, and I'm, I'm still trying to get my ground in, and I replied to her and I was like, hey, thanks for reaching out. I looked at her resume and I'm like, you're in Texas, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time I didn't have any work in Texas. I wasn't doing anything. She's like, yep, I'm in Texas. If you're ever here, let me know. But, I'm open to moving around if opportunities come. This year I had a shoot and it was in Houston.
Okay.
And I'm like, somebody emailed me. Somebody is from Texas. I was like, there's somebody that said, and I'm like searching my email. I'm like, Texas, Houston, trying to find her. Boom. I found Essence resume and I was like, hi. I literally called and I was like, hey, this is Jordan. She was like, Jordan. I was like, Jordan from Oracle Media. You sent me a resume. I was like, I know it's been a couple of years ago and you might not even still be interested in being a PA. I don't know where you are in your career right now. However, I'm coming to Houston. And as I told you, if I came to Houston, I was going to call you. So I'm like, I'm coming to Houston. We have this shoot. If you're available, I would love if you could come PA for us, to come be on site. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we need to have done. And she came and PA'd, and now she's in my Rolodex. So if anybody is like, oh, I need a person in Houston, I'm like, oh yeah, call Essence. Here she goes.
Got it. Okay. So the referral program works.
It works. It works. The referral program works.
So tell us about your baby, Oracle Media. How did you say, well, I want to own something versus just having people call me to come on these projects?
So a lot of the work sometimes that I was doing, we would hire like third-party companies.
Okay.
So we would hire either a third-party company or a third-party consultant to come in and consult and work on projects.
Okay.
And a lot of times I would be like looking at the invoices and looking at their timesheets like, wow, I'm in a wrong business. This is crazy. Okay. I'm in the wrong business. But at the time I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now to be able to do what I'm doing. So I would always, I would keep that in the back of my mind. Like, maybe I should start my own business. I should. So a friend of mine named Malik Bowie, he is my friend. He's my big brother. He's like my business mentor. Like, I love Malik to death. So Malik has a company called Red Summer TVs, which is a great media company. They're like NAACP Image Award winning, and they got Grammy Awards. And I'm like, Malik, I feel like I'm ready. Like, I want to start my company. Malik puts me on an email with his lawyer and says, hey, this is Jordan. She wants to start a company. Whatever she needs, help her out. And I'm like, wait, what? And like, from me having the discussion, he was like, oh, this is what you want to do? Well, here, do it. And I was like, okay. So he puts me on an email with his lawyer. And I remember at the time being like, oh my gosh, like, wow, this is like, I remember being like, wow, this is so great. And it took me a couple of months. The lawyer was like, hey, tell me what kind of business. And I'm like, I want to have I want to have a production company. Those are my words. I want to have a production company. And he's like, all right, well, tell me what you want to name it. We'll form your LLC. We'll figure it out. It took me 3 months to get back to him to figure out a name for my company. I got back to him. I told him what I wanted. And Malik was like, charge everything to Red Summer. Whatever she needs, charge it to my company. And I'm like, wait, what?
He was like, what just happened?
What just happened? Right. So I formed the company in November of 2019.
Okay.
I did not formally start doing any like real work within the company until like February of 2020. So it took me a while before and the crazy thing was it was the pandemic. Like, we were in the pandemic.
Right, we were
in a pandemic, and somebody reached out to me. Was like, hey, I have this project. We were supposed to do this red carpet, but it's the pandemic. So now it needs to be virtual, and we need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And everything that she was asking for, I was like, I know the people. So instead of me saying, oh, call this person and they'll do this, and then you call that person and they'll do that, I said, oh, I can do it. She was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, let me know what your budget is. I'll, put it all together for you. And the first thing that we did was there was a documentary coming out on PBS called And She Could Be Next, about like women in government, that was executive produced by Ava DuVernay. And they needed a virtual red carpet so that press people could attend to be able to screen the movie, and then also a Q&A with some of the women who were in politics and the executive producers and the producers of the movie.
And that was your first project.
That was the first project. So we put together this virtual event, and like it streamed on YouTube. It streamed, and I had been like, I knew how to do this. So it streamed on YouTube, it streamed on Facebook. There was a stream on Twitter. Like, and because I had been working and like knew how to pull these pieces together, and they were like, you wait, what? And it ended up being great. And then from then I'm like, all right. And now I'm like, instead of me, when people are calling me to ask for things, or how do I do this? Or do you know this person? Or do you know that person?
You just,
Instead of me saying, oh, we'll call this person or do that, I was pitching myself.
yeah, why not?
Yeah, I was like, why not? I'm like, girl, you got the company. Like,
Now you can just see what those invoices look.
right. I'm like, you have the company. I have
Right.
all of the resources. Like, I have all of the pieces to put it together. So instead of me saying, oh, well, just do that, like, no, I'll do it for you. And
It
these are
seems
people
like
that
you
I have
just totally
relationships with.
jumped into your purpose by circumstance. Because things seem to just like, okay, here you go. And you know, the lane was theirs,
Yeah.
was paved in gold.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like if you went into any form of law, you would have kind of still steered back to this production lifestyle that you have now?
Yes. Because even though I wanted to study law, I either wanted to do two things. I either wanted to do entertainment law or immigration law.
Got it. Okay.
So either way, and I probably would have chosen entertainment law over immigration law.
Mhm.
But for me, it was either going to be entertainment or immigration. So some way, somehow, I think I still would have ended up in the path or the world of entertainment. I
Well,
just,
do you have any projects of your own coming up that you have said, okay, this has to be done by me? I'm creating this on my own.
So it's funny because I have these ideas that I'm working on.
But I hear but.
There's no but. There's no but.
Okay.
I am working on them. I am, when it comes to your own work and things you do, you kind of look at it with a different light, and you're your biggest critic. So like, I want things to be fine tooth combed and perfect before I'm putting it out. But I do have I have one docu-series, two documentaries, and a scripted series that I am developing right now.
Okay.
So yes, there's content coming, and for me, that's the goal. Like, the goal is for Oracle Media to sign multi-million production deals with companies via whether that's a Netflix or Hulu, or whether I'm partnering with another production company that already has those assets and those connections, whether that's Hooray Media, which is Issa Rae's company, or Array, which is Ava DuVernay's company, or whether it's OWN, which is, Oprah, or whether it's Tyler Perry Studios, or, whether it's partnering with some of these companies that like already have those like ins and outs. But that is the goal for me, to create my own content and be able to put my own content out for the world.
I agree. I'm like, it's the next step for you.
Next
It's right
step.
there.
We right there. We right there. We
I
trying
just,
to
I
figure
just
it out.
want you to not hesitate when you like, oh, it's gotta be this. It's already that. So just trust that part. That I know we like, oh, but it could be tweaks. Nope, don't change it. In production, you'll see what you'll
And
say.
it's funny because we'll do that and not take our own advice. Because if anybody asks us, like just like you're telling me right now,
Yes,
if somebody else was to
you
tell
would
me,
have told me the same thing. Yeah.
I would have told you the same thing. Like, girl, is a quality over quantity. As long as it look good, it feel good, put it out, don't stress.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just over here like
So is there a formula, or have you found any type of meditation or mantra to overcome this part? Because I think as creators, we all battle with it. But have you ever just said, you know what, I'm going to take my own advice? What advice is that?
girl, no. That's for real. The honest answer is no. I draw a lot of, and I draw and I lean heavily on my friends and my network. So, I'm friends with a lot of producers and DPs and people who do things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of my affirmations from them when I'm like creating stuff, and I'm like, is this a good idea? Is this,
right?
Like, I know it sounds, and some things can sound good to you, and then when you say it to somebody else, they're like, oh, well, I would change this, or I would do that, or
Yeah.
so I lean on my friends heavily when I'm like creatively spiraling, because that's what I do. I'll creatively spiral and I'll be in the shower and be like, oh my gosh, I gotta go and just come up with something because I'm taking a shower or I'm on a plane. Like, where's my notebook? I gotta start writing. Like, and then, you know, talking it through to try to just be like, is this a thing or is this the real thing before I'm trying to, you know, get it out and actually make it happen.
And do you think that causes you to switch projects and say, well, I want to scratch this? Does it halter your or hinder your creative process when you do that?
I wouldn't say it hinders it, but sometimes it can shift it, but in a good way, right? So it can make me think about other angles or other storylines or other things that I may not have been thinking about that can be additive to my process. And you know, you have to do that with understanding that not everybody is going to like what you're saying. Like, this is information that you can choose to accept or deny, but it doesn't change my process when I'm sharing. Right.
So I want you to leave us with a quote. I always like to hear what people do or how they get through those days, and if they hold on to something or a saying that you may have. So what is one of your favorite quotes or your most recent quote that you find yourself saying a lot?
Hire people that are smarter than you. That's it, right? Because we all have our things that we know, and we all have our things that we are good at, but enrolling those other people in your vision that are smarter than you, that are like, I'm not an editor, so I'm not going to edit my own content. Like, I know how to work a Premiere Pro, but I'm not saying I'm going to edit a feature film. So I'm going to hire somebody that's the editor.
Right. Got
and
it.
Yeah. Great editor. I'm not the best writer. I can write so that I can get my point across to myself, but I don't know that I, you know, write to the point of getting it to somebody else. So I'm going to hire and enroll writers in my vision that write better than me, or get producers or other people that are better than you. Like, that's not it takes nothing away from you. It takes nothing away from your vision. It takes nothing away from your goal to have people around you that are smarter than you. If anything, it makes you better. It makes your project better. It makes your goals better. It makes what you want to do better.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking this time.
Thank you for having me.
It is such an honor to have you on here. I am going to be patiently waiting on these projects that you have in your brain to come out and manifest into this world. And hopefully I will be able to show you some things as well.
Yes,
so
I love that.
I would love to I wouldn't say network, but you know, chat a little bit to see what else you have going on. Our time is up here, but I hope everyone has learned something today and is also taking the time out to learn more about themselves. So appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Best luck to you.
Thank you.